Welcome all you lovely people back to another r/I-don't-work-here-lady video. Our first story of the day is by Celtic Cynic. Just because I'm in a Hi-Viz uniform? So, I used to work on the airport in a major Australian city. I'm still with the company, but now in a senior management role off the airport. Parking for employees just doesn't exist at the terminal. We had to park at a long-term car park and get a bus to the terminals. I would get off at the first stop to get a coffee and walk about 3 minutes to my work site. Yes, I was in high visibility work clothing, but not branded for the airline who operated from the terminal I was buying coffee in. I would regularly be asked for directions or assistance and would generally oblige, to a limit. Then one day, these two old bats broke me. I was standing in line for coffee, and one tugs at my shirt before addressing me. Neither looked frail or confused, just both entitled and rude. This airport had seized the state-run bus service to the city to force people into the train line it had built, which was the fastest way into the CBD, but not necessarily the cheapest.
Young man, where do we get the bus to the city?
I say, I'm sorry, I don't believe they run it anymore, but the train line is just…
You just got off a bus, though.
Yes, that's from the long-term car park.
Oh, now why would you need the long-term car park bus? You clearly work here.
Tugs at my uniform again and points to my airport-issued ID on my other company lanyard. Well, I work at the airport, not this terminal, and there's no staff parking. I'm just trying to get a
Where do we get the bus to the city?
I tried to tell you, they stopped it. The train line is downstairs, or there's a taxi rank just outside.
We don't want the train or a taxi. Tell us where the bus leaves from.
At this point, I'm in front of the queue for coffee, and the barista I buy from 5 days a week sees I'm in trouble. He sings out, "Hey OP, the usual?"
Not until he tells us where to get the bus from.
Now the volunteer from the information desk 10 feet behind me steps in and asks these two old bints to come over to the desk and she'll try to help them. While I'm paying for my coffee, I can hear them asking,
What was his problem? Why wouldn't he tell us where to get to the bus?
Because it doesn't run anymore. Do you guys think there's any getting through to people like this, or is there really no hope and you should just kind of give up? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Small Time Dog, a shake of tomato paste and a smile. I was doing my weekly grocery shop and I'm in the canned vegetable aisle. I hear a quiet, "Excuse me," behind me. I turn around and there is an older woman, easily under 5 feet tall. I responded with, "Yes ma'am, can I help you?" She says she can't find the tomato paste and wanted me to show her where it was. I knew it was 2 aisles over with the pasta sauce, and I know it's on the second from the top shelf, and that she would never be able to reach it. So I walk her over and grab it for her. I ask if there's anything else she needs help with, and she says yes and shows me her list. I proceeded to walk around the store with her and take her to the items she needs. When we're done, she tells me she's going to ask for the manager to tell them how helpful I was and what a kind lad they have on hand. I said, "Oh, I don't work here, just getting my shopping done." I had not taken my cart into the aisle with me as I needed a can just a couple of shelves in. When she asked why I helped her shop, I responded with something along the lines of that we need to help each other, otherwise what's the point? When I went to the checkout, I saw her in the parking lot. She pulled the tomato paste out of her bag and shook it in the air as she waved at me and gave me an ear-to-ear smile. 11 out of 10 would help her shop again. I wish there was a million more stories like this on this subreddit. That's the kind of positivity and joy we need to spread as humans to each other. Not all this negativity and dragging people down and getting angry at everybody. We don't need all that. This next story is by Blue Lion VLD. Elderly lady thinks I work at a supermarket when I don't. Surprisingly wholesome outcome. This happened close to Christmas last year. I was at Woolworths with my dad and 2 younger sisters. The youngest sister, B, needed to go to the bathroom, so she left. Dad told me to stay where I was since the area was visible from the front of the store and let her know where he and M went when she got back. Dad didn't want to lose her, which is reasonable. B is easily distracted and gets lost way too easily. Anyway, I'm waiting by the bakery area where all the bread and muffins and stuff are displayed and nice lady walks up to me. Nice lady says, "Excuse me, do you know where I can find specific type of bread that I don't remember the name of?" Now, I should mention that Woolworths is essentially the Australian version of Walmart, including how the employees wear uniforms that match the color of the store logo. This means that all the employees are wearing the store color, which is green. I'm wearing a bright red Rip Curl shirt, clearly not an employee. Also, there was literally an employee next to us stacking fresh bread. I say, "Sorry miss, but I don't work here. But if you ask that employee over there, they should be able to help you." At this point, I was prepared for the standard line of, "Let me speak to your manager." And Reddit had prepared me for all the outcomes and possible witty responses I could use. This didn't happen though. What followed was a surprisingly wholesome conversation. The nice lady said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. You were just standing there and looking around. You didn't look like you were shopping, so I thought you worked here." I say, "Oh no, I'm waiting for my little sister. She gets lost easily, so I'm waiting for her in an area where she can see me clearly." The nice lady says, "That's so nice of you. You must be a great older sibling." We continued to chat for a bit until my sister came back and we said our goodbyes. I honestly forgot about the encounter with nice lady until a few days ago when I saw her at the same Woolworths. We said hi and I asked if she was able to find what she was looking for. She did. The moral of the story is, no matter how much Reddit prepares you for wild encounters in the real world, life always has a trap card waiting for us. To be honest, in a Walmart, I don't know if you would have too many exchanges that were as pleasant as OP's here. I just remember the last few times I went to a Walmart, everybody mind their own business, everything was super hush-hush, everybody all seemed to be on their own mission, doing whatever they wanted. It just seems so impossible to have such a pleasant experience in a Walmart. Our next story is by Piccolo5. Karen mistakes me for an employee and gets arrested. So for context, I was about 11, about 5'7", and going to the town park with my friends. I went in a corner shop to get some snacks, drinks, etc., and just told my friends to wait for me at the park. I started to go around looking for snacks when I felt a hand on my shoulder and was spun around to face a woman who shoved a list into my hands and said in an American accent, I'm British, "Okay, now go get these and be quick." I was confused, looked at the list and said, Before I could finish, she said, "Excuse me, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you what to do." One of the employees had come over to see what all this commotion was about and said, "Ma'am, may I help you?" "Yes, get me your manager now. This employee is being rude and not doing what I say." They say, "Ma'am, he's just a kid." I had lost interest, so I went away to get my snacks, but the lady saw me and yelled, "Don't you dare walk away from me." She then threw something at my head when I didn't listen. I'm guessing it was something that was on the shelf. I turned around and saw this employee being slapped and the manager coming out and trying to stop her. One of the other employees that was on break at the time called the police, and they came too. At this point, I was just staring at them rubbing the back of my head. "Get your hands off me." Officer 1 says, "Ma'am, please calm down." The lady says, "Get your hands off me, I have rights." The second officer had lost grip on her arm, and the lady punched him right in the nose. The first officer grabs her free arm and pushes her down onto the counter, cuffs her, and brings her to his car, followed by the one that had been punched. The manager apologizes to me and gave me 10% off the snacks. I leave and go to the park where my friends ask what took so long, and I tell them the story and we all laugh. I honestly forgot half the things she was screaming because it was so long ago, but that's definitely one of my craziest encounters with someone. You know, if I was visiting any kind of foreign country, it doesn't matter what country it was, something pretty high on my list would be don't get arrested. Especially for something so, to put it bluntly, dumb, like being belligerent in a store. I don't know what happened to give this lady such a bad experience or fire them up the way they did, but their actions didn't make it any better. This next story is by Chiara699. He assumed I didn't speak English. For context, I'm originally from a small town in southern Italy, but I study foreign languages, one of which is English, in a big city. During summer holidays, I go back home and occasionally work in different supermarkets, giving out free samples of new products. I work for an agency, not for the supermarket, and I rarely work in the same place enough to know where stuff is. In summer 2019, I was minding my own business, giving out free samples of mozzarella. This guy comes up to me and asks in English, "Where are the chips?" He talked very slowly, but we rarely get any foreign tourists, so I assume most people he spoke to didn't know English very well. I didn't know where the chips were, so I tried to tell him I didn't work there. "Sorry, I don't..." He cut me off, thinking I was about to say I don't speak English, turned to his wife and said something along the lines of, "Jesus, do these people even go to school?" Then he turned to me and started describing chips, I think, with his hands. At this point, I was starting to get really annoyed. First of all, you are in Italy talking to an Italian in English, being outraged that I don't speak your language. Second, I do speak English, but you cut me off before I could answer. I looked at him and said, "Sir, I know what chips are, I just don't know where they're located specifically in this store. As you can see from my attire and my badge, I'm not employed by the supermarket. I work for an independent agency. Oh, and I did go to school. I can actually speak 5 languages. How many can you speak?" His face turned red. He mumbled something and left. I hope he never found the chips. Never being able to locate the chips, or giving up and going home and not even looking for the chips, is kind of what this guy deserves. I think I've said it before in the past, but one of my most favorite kinds of stories is the situations like this, where they think you don't understand the language they're speaking and say some kind of cheap talk or rude saying about you, and you just kind of instantly clap back at them or make them very aware that you heard everything they said. And our final story of the day is by Blessed Sister 75. I work in a restaurant, not electronics. I work in a restaurant as a server, and our work shirts kind of look like a big box electronics store work shirt, only it has the restaurant's name on the back. I was wandering the aisles of the mentioned store looking for a new webcam when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and an older woman was standing there smiling. She said, "Excuse me, miss, but could you help me find the keyboards for computers?" I said, "Yeah, sure, they're right over here." I walked over to the keyboards and showed her. "So what happened to your keyboard? Did it short out or not typing like it should?" They said, "No, it works fine. It's just the letters are faded and I can't see all the keys. I have a problem seeing the letters." I asked, "But it works fine still?" She said, "Yes, it still works fine. I hate to have to buy a new keyboard too. Seems like a waste of money." I said, "Well, you don't have to buy a new keyboard. You can always just replace the keys. Is your keyboard standard or is it backlit?" The lady said, "It's backlit. I do a lot of typing. I'm working on a book right now, so I'm typing all hours of the day and night." I said, "Okay, let's look for a minute. See if we can find replacement keys." The lady followed me around and we didn't find any replacement keys. I say, "Okay, I have an idea. Let's check online." I pulled out my cell phone and searched for replacement keys. I found some and said, "Here's some keys right here. They're double-shot translucent keys." The lady looked puzzled. "Double shot? What's that?" I explained to the best of my ability that letters were carved out of the keys with a second layer of translucent plastic, injected that way so the letters on the keys will never fade because they aren't printed stickers or paint. And it's cheaper than buying a new keyboard in the long run. It comes with a tool to help remove the keys so you won't damage the keyboard itself. The lady said, "Oh, this is fantastic. Thank you for your help. This is going to be great. When I check out and pay for what I have, I'm going straight to customer service and telling your manager how helpful you are." I said the magic words, "I don't work here. I work in the restaurant up the street," and pointed out the restaurant logo on the back of my shirt. The lady said, "But you're so smart about the keyboards and electronics and stuff." I say, "Well, ma'am, I've gone through my fair share of keyboards for the same reason. Then a coworker told me about it. I have the same keyboard for years now." She was very happy I saved her money. She gave me a socially distanced hug and went on her merry little way. I found a decent new webcam, paid for it, and on my way out, she waved at me and smiled and thanked me again. I just nodded back and went home with my new webcam. A few days ago, I saw her on curbside carryout. When I handed her the order, she told me the new keys worked great and even gave me a $5 tip on a $10 bill. Before I could thank her, she drove off. Okay, you heavy keyboard users. Forget about how worn the keys are. When's the last time you cleaned out your keyboard? If you use keyboards a lot, they can get pretty messy pretty quickly. And unfortunately, it seems like keyboards are the kind of things that people don't usually pop the keys out and clean out more than they need to. Just some food for thought. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.